guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kathleen, and today's video I wanted to share with you guys all of the books that I got in the month of May. So let's go ahead and get started. So the very first book that I got in the month of May, and I have already read this book and I absolutely loved it. It is A Court of Mist and Fury by Miss Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in her A Court of Thorns and Roses fantasy trilogy, and it just follows Sarah in the Night Court, and it is absolutely fantastic. You probably heard all of the rage about this book. It is fantastic and I absolutely loved this book. The second book that I got in the month of May is Ruined by Amy Tinteria. This is her first book in her new fantasy series. Amy Tinteria is the author of the Reboot duology. It's a dystopian sci-fi kind of book series, and I absolutely loved the Reboot duology, so I went ahead and I picked up her new series. I have heard nothing but great things about this book, and I can't wait to read it. And the third book that I bought this month was Reign of Shadows by Sophie Jordan. I bought this book primarily because the cover was really beautiful, and this follows a fantasy world where a darkness settles over this kingdom and an evil enchantress kills the king and queen, and the princess is locked away in a tower or some sort, but she's the only one who has the ability to overthrow the evilness. It looks really interesting. Like I said, I picked up mainly because of the cover. Alright, and then the next book that I bought is actually a book that has been getting a lot of hype on BookTube. A lot of people have been raving this book, and it is The Crown's Game by Evelyn Skye. This is set in Russia, and it is a fantasy type novel. I believe it's the first book on a new fantasy series. It sounds really interesting. It's been getting a lot of rave reviews, which is the only reason why I picked up this book. Alright, and then the next book that I got was The Shadow Queen by C.J. Redwine. It is a fantasy world following a princess who is out for revenge against an evil queen who took over her kingdom and killed her father. It sounds really interesting. I loved the cover. I love the stories where it's about a princess who's trying to get revenge for her kingdom. I love those types of stories, so I picked it up. And the next book that I got was The Assassin's Heart by Sarah A. Hires. I think I'm mispronouncing her last name, I apologize. But this follows a fantasy world where there are several, I believe there are 9 families, and they're all like enemies of each other. However, the main protagonist, the girl in this series, she's in a relationship with a boy from a rival kingdom. However, one night she comes back and she realizes someone murdered all of her family, and she thinks it's the boy from the rival kingdom or something like that, and she decides to get revenge on behalf of her family. It just sounds really interesting. I love assassin stories. It just with princesses, whatever. It just sounds really interesting, so I went ahead and I picked it up. And then the next 2 books, they're the first 2 books in a trilogy, and these books have been getting so much hype on BookTube, and it's the only reason why I picked it up is because everyone else has been raving this series, and it is the Winner's Trilogy. We have the first book, which is The Winner's Curse, and the second book, which is The Winner's Crime. I love the covers, but a lot of people have been raving these books, and I believe I've heard someone describe it that this is a fantasy world without magic. So it sounds really interesting, and I really can't wait to get into the series. And the other book that I bought in the month of May is another book that has been getting a lot of hype on BookTube, and it is An Amber in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And it's just gotten a lot of reviews. The second book, I believe, is about to be released, but a lot of people have been saying a lot of great things about this book, and I went ahead and decided to pick it up. And it is about a girl who is a slave and a guy who is a soldier, and they're both like in this corrupted kingdom. Something happens with the girl's brother, and she's trying to get him back because I believe he's been arrested for treason, and the soldier is going to try to help her. It sounds really interesting. A lot of people have been raving it, so I decided to go ahead and pick it up. And then the next book that I picked up is actually the only book on this book haul that is not a fantasy book. and it is When We Collided by Emery Lord. This is, I believe, a contemporary book, and a lot of people have been hyping up this book. A lot of people have been saying a lot of great things about this book, and I actually really enjoy the cover. I think it's very unique, so I went ahead and I picked it up because I personally love contemporaries, and I've been looking for more great contemporaries to read. And finally, the last book that I acquired in the month of May is, of course, the book that I got from my Owl Crate subscription, and it is Everland by Wendy Spinelli, or Spinell, I'm not sure how you pronounce the last name, but this is basically a steampunk retelling of Peter Pan. It sounds really great. I have actually never read a retelling by for Peter Pan, and it just looks really interesting. I absolutely love this cover. It's a gorgeous cover, and cannot wait to get into this world. Alright guys, so there is everything, all of the books that I got in the month of May. As you can see, my book buying problem is still shadowing me. I cannot help but buy books, and I'm not ashamed. I love buying new books, even if I buy more than I can read. It's okay, eventually I'll get to them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope to see you guys on my next video. Have a good day guys, and keep reading. Bye!